In this video, I'm going to show you how to switch interface language with Python. This is the journal entries interface in Excel. Here in language, you see English. The client will see the white area where the backend is in other colors, and green for data entry. Everything shown here is already simplified. I've shot 4-hour-long videos on how to make this in Excel. Let's switch from English to Japanese. Now it's in Japanese. Now in Chinese. Switch it back to English. In Python, I create 3 tables. The first one is the journal entries, which is this one. This journal entry is extracted from here, the Excel's journal entry. Here I extract the reference, position, GL account number, and the amount, which are these 4 columns. Then I'll extract the chart of accounts because I need to switch language like this. Let's say change it to Jap. English, indeed my chart of accounts is on this tab. You don't need to memorize it because I'm just showing a simplified demo. My full version has over 700 GL accounts. To extract the chart of accounts, I've created a table COA and extract all these columns. Basically, it's this Excel table, reference, English, Japanese, Chinese, type. You can simply ignore the last 2 columns. These 4 columns should be enough. I assign the ref column to be the index of the chart of accounts, COA. Now we move on to the account type table, AT. This table is coming from this Excel table, account type. As you can see, the type sales, cost of goods sold, gross sales, these are all the types for the GL accounts. In this video, we won't touch it by now. I just talk about it as part of an overview. Here you see the ref and the language columns are all extracted here. AT, account type, reference, English, Japanese, and Chinese. Display type we don't need here, I just grabbed it by chance. If you take a look at our Python code, these codes are just extracting the 3 mentioned Excel tables. You don't need to copy it because you can always have your own tweaking for those tables. The parameters here may look different for your case. It may not be sheet 1. You may skip more than 4 rows. You can have 10 plus of that. It's totally up to you. That's why it's better view it as an example for learning. Here I define the variable select language, which is coming from which is exactly the same as this one, select language. Select Jap and display Jap. Let me close Excel because they can't run together. I've created a function called Lookup General Ledger Display. What it does is just the same as the GL account display column. The display language changes in accordance with the select language. Let me change it back to English, ENG. It will then be matched to chart of accounts ENG column, which is this column. The GL account reference of the chart of accounts here, which coincides with the journal entries GL account number column, control by. Then the display will become English. If I change it back to Japanese and hit Control Boy, then display will be Japanese. Of course, this is the backend, so I manually type the select language. I can code it like whatever input language, something like that. I'll leave all these codes when I write the actual app. Now let's take a look at this function. Feel free to copy it down. There are 4 parameters. The first one is the source table in the lookup GL display function. I start from the JE journal entry table, which is this one. Our source column, which is the column that we need to find out our answer. Here we use GL account number column. That's defined here. The third parameter is the target table. In this case, it is the chart of accounts COA. Indeed, there's a trick. Inside the COA table, I set the index column to the reference column, where this reference column is coming from. This reference column from the chart of accounts. I deliberately set this reference column as the index of this COA table. If you don't set this, the lookup function won't work. I'll leave the Python basics of setting index to my other videos. So that's my setup. Now we move on to the fourth parameter, the lookup call to look up for the select language. But you can't see select language column in the COA table, right? Indeed, here is the select language, the one that I kept changing the language before. Let's change it to Chinese, CHI, Control-Boy to run it. Then display becomes Chinese because it's defined in the select language. Inside the parameter lookup column, the result is contained in the variable called select language. You can fill in whatever text inside select language, input Chinese and display Chinese, input ENG English and look up from here, Control-Boy and English here, Chinese which looks up from here, CHI Control-Boy, then it will display Chinese. All these results are contained in the JE display column. Let's switch back to English. ENG lookup from this column, Control-Boy. Then this journal entry will start from the GL account number to return the accounts in different languages. Pretend that our journal entry is complete. Then I'll use pivot table method to generate the trial balance. Let's say this one, 1020, accounts receivable. It appears once, twice. And we add this 120 to this 480, so we get 600, right? And we should expect the amount column shows 600 here. We'll talk about that next video. Alright, that's it for today. Ciao.